Hey guys, this is Spark Plus Ultra here, and this is my new what if. Some commenters wanted this what if, and I think this should deserve this. And I like to say thank you, Blueberry, for giving me this idea. And let's get down to this what if. What if Aoi was in My Hero Academia? I see trees are green, blue butterflies too, and that's where we go. And I hope you like this video. At the age of 5, Bakugo was bullying a person that has a useless quirk, and the other two boys were basically ganging up on him as well. And Bakugo says, how's this? Exploding with his explosive quirk, and then Sugu says, that's enough, Kacchan. This isn't even fun. You're taking it too far. And Sugu then looks at Kacchan with the most determined and saddened look of fear. And Bakugo's and his friends basically took Sugu and basically pummeled him. And Sugu was on the ground with Bakugo and friends leaving, and Sugu felt his injuries. Ow. And then the person that was bullied by Bakugo was saved by Sugu. Except Sugu. Thank you. Let me help you. And the girl then lifts Sugu up and carries him, and he says, thank you for helping me. And Sugu says, it's no problem. And Aoi, the girl says, weren't you scared? And Sugu says, yeah. Then why didn't you run? Shouldn't you be more aware of my state? How you would get hurt? And Sugu says, well, Sugu then says this, I wanted to be a hero, and heroes don't let others be in a bad situation, or anyone. They need to save others. And the girl looks at Sugu and was deeply thinking. And Sugu says, huh? What's the matter? And the girl says this, you are such a idiot. And Sugu says, what? And the girl then smiles and says, but a good type. And Sugu says, thank you. And then the girl puts him on the grass, and Sugu says, why you put me down here? And the girl looks at Sugu and says, be calm and be quiet. And she takes a deep breath, and she puts her hand on Sugu's body and says, alright. And butterflies come around Sugu's injured body state, and then they flutter in different ways, taking left and right directions, showing a bit of a sparkle, dazzling water around them, like a droplet of rain. And Sugu was amazed on a quirk that looks so elegant. And the girl looks at Sugu and smiles and says, thanks for saving me. By the way, this is my payment on how you helped me. And Sugu says, oh, it's no problem. What's your name? I haven't gotten it. And then the girl chuckles and says, my name is Aoi Kanzaki. Your name? My hero? And Sugu then gets a little flustered on what she said about the hero part. My name is Sugu Midoriya. Nice to meet you, Aoi. And Aoi says, it's very nice to meet you too, Sugu. I heard your name was Deku? And Suki then says, oh, that was my nickname. And Aoi says, oh, does it? And Suki says, no, it's more of an insult. Aoi says, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. And Suki says, it's fine. And Aoi then says this, I kinda like it. Your name, it fits you. And Aoi then smiles at Suki. And Suki then becomes red and says, oh, thank you. I guess you can call me Deku if you want to. And Aoi says, doesn't that insult you? And Suki says, no, I got used to it. And Aoi says, you're such a weird person, Suki, with a chuckling smile. And Suki says, oh, I didn't know what type of quirk you had. And Aoi then puts a straight face and says, it's not really special. Even I have to admit it. And then Suki says, I'm very interested. It doesn't matter to me what type of quirk it is. I would love to hear it, no matter what, Aoi. And Aoi then puts a little slight blush on what he said. And Aoi then thinks and takes a minute and says, my quirk is called Azura Butterfly. And Suki says, Azura Butterfly? And Aoi then says this, my quirk allows me to inner thoughts, to basically use bits of cleaning or purification to basically heal your wounds or something else. But I don't know what else. The doctor doesn't know that much about my quirk. But it takes a lot more focus than any other quirk. To me, it's kinda useless. And then Suki says, it's such a unique quirk. It's also beautiful. Look at it. And Aoi says, you don't need to be nice. And Suki says, no, I'm not kidding. It's really something unique and very passionate. Even if you don't be a hero, I would love to see you be one, Aoi. And then Aoi then gets a little blush on what Izuki said. And Aoi then takes a deep breath and says, fine, it's a promise, okay? And Suki says, yeah, a promise. And Aoi then also says, huh? Oh yeah, I showed you my quirk. Maybe you can show me yours. And Suki then looks at Aoi and says, I don't have one. And Aoi then was surprised. Wait, you're quirkless? And Suki then looks at disappointment and look up. Yes. And Aoi then was worried. You took on those guys knowing that you would get hurt? And Suki says, yeah, I wanted to protect you. And Aoi then was happy to hear that, but also angry on what Suki was doing. She didn't do that! Suki. And Suki says, and Aoi says, stop laughing! This is serious! And Suki says, even if I don't have a quirk, I still want to be a hero. And Aoi looks at Suki with surprise and with a look of baka. And Aoi then says, you really are a idiot. And Suki says, and Suki and Aoi were friends for 4 years. Aoi goes back to her countryside, and Suki was still at his school, as usual. And Zuki obviously got into middle school when 14, so about 5 years have gone by. And when Zuki was sitting in the set with all the students, including Bakugo, they both were in the same school as in canon, and the teacher gave out throw the paper because, well, he knows that most of them want to be heroes. And Bakugo, obviously with a cocky smirk, saying, huh, I'm going to be going to UA. Become heroes. A hero. Not these sidekicks. All the students were visibly angry at Bakugo, but teacher says, yes, Bakugo, you're going to UA. And all the students were shocked. And Bakugo, cocky look, says, told you, cause Katsuki Bakugo is going to become the #1 hero. And when he said that, the teacher says, oh, Midoriya, you're going to UA as well. And Bakugo was shocked on hearing that. And all the students as well. And Bakugo says, get out! Nobody needs you in UA, you damn nerd! And then Sugu was still frightened on Bakugo. And Bakugo, when school was over, Bakugo threw his notebook in the fountain as in canon. And Sugu gets his notebook out of the fountain and walks back home using the shortcut as in canon. And Sugu then looks at the damage of how much it was from Bakugo. When does that, the Sludge villain comes and tries to take Sugu's body, but All Might saves him, as in canon, and All Might gets Sludge villain in the bottle, and Sugu wants to ask All Might a question, but he holds on to him, and All Might tries to get him off, but accidentally drops the bottle that was containing the Sludge villain. And then All Might was on a tower and was talking to Sugu, explaining that he can't beat a hero that easily, and saying that he can't be a hero without a quirk. And Sugu was a little discouraged, but he goes down, and All Might then noticed something was off. And then Sugu was walking the streets, gonna go back home. But when he does that, he hears a explosion coming out of the street. And then Sugu sees Bakugo and familiar girl. And the Sludge villain was trying to take over Bakugo's body. And the girl that was familiar to Sugu has Azura butterflies and on her hair, making pigtails. The girl says, will you calm down already? I'm trying to get you out of there. And then Sugu heard that familiar voice somewhere. And then the girl then says this, keep your composure. Takes a deep breath, blows it out. And quickly, like a water stream with 3 Azura butterflies around, and Sugu noticed the butterflies, and the girl tries to get Bakugo out of the Sludge villain, but to no avail. And Bakugo says, is your quirk that useless? And the girl says, it's hard to keep my composure if you keep yelling at me like this. And then the Sludge villain says, oh, you two are so annoying. Why don't you just shut up and be my puppets? And Bakugo says, as if, trying to get out of the Sludge villain. And Suki says, it's my fault. So the Sludge villain is out hurting my friends. And Suki rushed and trying to get Bakugo out and throwing his bag at the Sludge villain's eyes. Arrgh! And Aoi, the girl, says, wait, Suki, don't go in. And says, I need to help those. Aoi. And Aoi, Suku, don't do this. And tries to get Suku unharmed, but the Sludge villain then goes for attack. Both Aoi and Suku were about to get hit, but All Might saves them and got rid of the Sludge villain by knocking him, getting rid of and saving Bakugo as well. And they see that the weather has changed into a storm cloud. And Aoi looks at Suki. Aoi says, Suku! And Suku says, sorry about that, Aoi. And Aoi then hugs Zuko. I missed you. And Suku says, same here, Aoi. And Aoi then flicks Suku's head. Ow! Aoi promptly gave him a lecture on what he did. But they also got a lecture on that from Heroes, but it was honestly self-defense on this one. And Zuko wanted to help his friend. And Aoi says this, I'm going back to my job. And Zuko says, oh, what type of job? And Aoi says, I guess you can call it a dojo / a medical bay. And Zuko says, wow, that suits you, Aoi, on the medical stuff. And Aoi says, well, there's more than you might think, but I'm glad to see you safe. And don't do that ever again. Suki then looks at Aoi. Sorry about that. Aoi goes to the dojo, get back to work. And Suki thinks, Aoi, she's always so passionate on it. Suki laughs. Then All Might comes and basically does the same thing as canon. But Aoi visits Suki a couple of times when he was finished with his training. And Aoi says, so Suki, what are you doing? What type of school are you going to? And Suki says, I'm going to UA. And Aoi says, UA? And Suki says, yeah, it's surprising because I have no quirk, right? And Aoi wasn't interpreting that one. And Aoi says, no, I'm not saying that. It's just, I'm going to UA as well. And Suki says, wow, really? And Aoi says, well, I was going to be more of a medical person, but it's thanks to you I had more belief in myself. And Suki says, wow, thanks. I can't even express how happy I am, but I'm glad, Aoi. And Aoi then says, here, eat your meal. And Suki says, alright. And Aoi says, so, how's your training? Suki says, oh, I had to do a lot of work. And Suki basically flexed his muscle a bit to show, and Aoi was embarrassed on seeing him. And Aoi says, alright, I have to go. And Suki says, alright. And Aoi says, I need to get something to do on the job. You can't let the dojo run amok, right? And Suki, confused, but also agrees on what Aoi says. And then, when Aoi gets back to the dojo, Aoi then has her heart beating so fast on Zuko. And then a certain person says, oh my, Aoi, why are you here? I thought you were eating your lunch and taking a break. And Aoi says, I had little stuff to do. And person says, oh, is it because of that boy? And Aoi says, no, it ain't. And the woman says, you're easy to read, And Aoi says, no, I'm not, Shinobu. And Shinobu chuckles on what she's doing. You're too easy. Sometimes fun to make you mess with your personality sometimes. And Aoi says, I'm going to work. And Shinobu says, but Aoi, are you really going to work, study in UA? You don't need to do this. You're a great medical person. And Aoi then looks at Shinobu. It is true, but I need more guidance, Alice. And Shinobu then says this. Young youth. And Aoi says, you're pretty young yourself. And Shinobu then says, but it is a great deal. You must know the risk. You're putting your life in it as well.
Aoi then said, yes, I need more courage out of this. And Shinobu gives a smile and says, alright, now, time for your training. And Aoi says, huh? Right now? And Shinobu says, footwork was a little sloppy because of your other training in another martial art. But you can work by mixing two martial arts together, like my best footwork. And Aoi says, can we start later? And Shinobu says, no. And they trained. Shinobu gets one of the most hardest training routines with Aoi of all time. Just as much as Zuki was training with All Might on his court. Then Suki went to UA, and Aoi as well. Both go in a separate route. Aoi had a longer route, and Suki had a little shorter one. And Suki sees UA and was absolutely excited to go in and learn. He doesn't want to make a fool of himself, but he trips on a rock and then thinks, my life is over. Then a certain person touches Suki and he didn't hit the ground. And the girl says, sorry, I thought you needed a little help. A brown hair girl that looks at Suki, and Suki sees that gravity is floating. And then Aoi looks at Zuki and the other girl and gets a little, how can I say, jealous in a stern of not as bad as any tsundere, but like I would say jealous of how much of Suki is talking to another girl. And Suki says, oh, thank you. And I'm shocked. The girl says, better be careful, and goes off into UA. And Suki says, better do it. Alright, let's try this again. Then Aoi says, Suki, it's good to see you. And then Suki looks back and says, oh, Aoi, it's great. And Suki feels a pressure around him. And Aoi says, so, who is that girl? And Suki says, oh, I just met her, so it's okay, Aoi. And Aoi then takes a deep relief. And Suki was confused on where that ominous aura came from for a bit. And Aoi says, alright, let's go, Suki. And Suki says, right. And that's where I'm ending this video. I hope you liked this video and I hope you subscribe. See you next time.